Good afternoon, everybody. Hope your Friday is going well. My name's Elisa, and I am one of Kelly's Choice dietitians. And I am going to be talking this month's topic for all of you is all about hydration. So I know some of you are all participating in a hydration challenge right now, or upcoming if you haven't already started. So hopefully this will help give you some tips, give you some ideas on how you can make sure that you are staying well hydrated. We're going to talk about the importance. Why does that matter? How does it play a role in our health and our wellness, in your weight loss journey, if that is a journey that you're currently on? And so I am going to go ahead and get started. So at Kelly's Choice, our mission, as you are well aware, if you've attended these webinars in the past, our mission is really to empower individuals to invest in themselves and their overall wellness in pursuit of living their best lives. And we are here to support you in that journey and with your goals towards health and wellness. So it's important to know that the human body is comprised of 60%, roughly 60% water, which means that hydration is imperative. We cannot survive without water. We know we can go much longer without food than we can water. That shows us the critical need to stay hydrated properly. A good 75% of us are actually falling short of our daily water requirements. And so water and weight loss, let's talk about the relationship that we have here. Drinking water is not going to trigger weight loss directly, but kind of more help support it in an indirect fashion. It can aid in the process of weight loss. And I will tell you why. It requires water molecules to oxidize fat molecules, or in essence, to burn fat, to lose the fat off of our body during weight loss. That's what we want to lose when we're trying to lose weight. Water molecules are necessary for that process. And we know it can also replace other very high calorie drinks in the diet. So that, of course, that's going to reduce your overall number of calories. So if you're trying to, really burn more calories than what you are taking in, just replacing some of those sugary drinks with water can drastically reduce how many calories you're getting every single day. We've all heard of the stories where somebody would go through like almost a liter of soda a day, and then they made no changes in their diet. They just stopped drinking soda and then lost 40 pounds within a few weeks. That's, drastic, but we've heard of those stories where it really does make a big difference if you can replace water, replace your high calorie beverages with water. The other factor is that it can help us feel fuller. And so if your stomach is filling up faster and you're having that fullness feeling when you're eating, if you're drinking water, it might help you to stay within your proper portions when we're eating a meal. And so water can also help to increase our metabolism and regulate our appetite. So also in support of just maintaining a healthy weight. It can also help increase our energy levels. Sometimes we get that fatigue in the middle of the day. It sometimes can disguise, that dehydration can disguise itself as hunger, and you feel like you want to snack or munch on something. You feel super depleted of energy. It may very well be that you're just super dehydrated and you just need to drink a big glass of water. So I would encourage that you try that first before turning to a snack, unless you know that you really do need a snack, obviously. And so drinking adequate amounts of water can also decrease our risk of certain types of cancers, especially colon cancer. You want to really keep these tissues hydrated, and it can decrease your risk of bladder cancer, your risk of breast cancer. And for a lot of people that are suffering from joint pain, back pain, again, you may be dehydrated. I'm not saying it's going to solve all of your problems, but it can significantly reduce the amount of pain that you are experiencing. It just basically is going to help to lubricate those joints nicely.
Oh, good.
She's gonna send me the recording.
We probably did this much.
Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and mute everybody just so there's no distraction here so we can get through this. So other reasons why we want to be drinking water, why we want to stay well hydrated. It leads to overall greater health by flushing out the waste and bacteria that, going back to the previous slide, how it reduces our risk of colon cancer. And that is because when we are flushing out, when we're well hydrated, one of the biggest things that I tell my clients if they're suffering from constipation, water can make a really big difference. Are you dehydrated? As we're staying well hydrated and that water is helping to move stool through the intestines and you're having regular bowel movements. I know this is a gross topic, but I talk about this all day long. You're moving out toxins, you're moving out bacteria, pathogenic bacteria that could just sit stagnant in the large intestine, and that is what can increase your risk of colorectal cancer. So fiber and water, two really, really big superstars to help to reduce that risk and get rid of those toxins. Water can help prevent and alleviate headaches. I'm sure we've all been at that place where we have a headache and we have correlated it back to, have I had enough water today? And chances are we have not. And so it can help to alleviate that or, reduce, prevent the onset of headaches, just that, that you get from being dehydrated. And then water can naturally moisturize your skin, basically from the inside out. What it's doing is it's helping to support proper cellular function and formation underneath the layers of your skin. So you get that nice, dewy, glowy, healthy complexion when you are really well hydrated. So water also aids in the digestion process. Again, we talked about how that works with preventing constipation. It is the primary mode of transportation for all of the nutrients in the body. So when we eat food and they break down into their individual nutrients and in order for them to get to their destination and provide proper function, we have to have enough water on board. And so you're going to kind of gum up the process a little bit, or at least make your body have to work a little bit harder in order to absorb those nutrients properly, because that water really just needs to be in high enough quantities in order to support that process. So this is your body on water, okay? This is what happens when you are hydrated. Your body is able to maintain its core temperature. So it requires water molecules to be available in order for your body just to maintain that kind of 98.6 degree temperature. That's a life-sustaining event. You need to have water for that. Nutrients and oxygens transported to all parts of your body. We already covered that. The waste products that are being carried out of your body, that is happening when you're well hydrated. Your tissues, your eyes, your mouth, your nose, all of that is remaining nice and moist. It doesn't feel super dry. Your joints are lubricated and moving well, and your organs are cushioned and protected. And so water is the reason why we can function in these ways in the most efficient and effective level. So I want to kind of go back to something I was saying before. So water molecules being necessary to maintain our core temperature. Water molecules are also necessary in maintaining our pH balance as well. So again, it's another life-sustaining function that your body has to maintain literally to keep you alive. And so remember a few slides back, I was saying that water molecules are also necessary in order to burn fat or oxidize fat if you're trying to lose weight. Well, if you're not getting enough water, if you're dehydrated, obviously, it's more critical for you to carry out the functions of maintaining your body's core temperature and pH levels, much more life-sustaining than just burning fat or losing weight. And so whatever water you have available, it's going to go to those functions. And if there's enough left, then it will help support the oxidation of fat and helping to burn fat and lose weight. But if you're constantly chronically dehydrated, you're never going to get to that point. It's going to be very, very difficult. So although we say water can be filling, it replaces high calorie drinks, it literally will prevent you from losing weight if you are dehydrated, if you don't have enough water on board for that process, because it's being used up for other more important functions in the body. Okay, so obviously, what happens when you're dehydrated? None of that's going to function properly. So not to be super repetitive here, but basically you're going to have a much harder time maintaining your core temperature. Maybe you always feel really cold, or maybe you're super sensitive to heat, those extreme temperature changes. You're just really, really ultra sensitive, more so than maybe somebody else that may not be. Could have to do with being dehydrated. When you're dehydrated, your body's not going to transport those nutrients and oxygen throughout the body the way that it needs to, or not very efficiently. It's going to be harder to eliminate waste products. You're going to be constipated, right? Your body tissues are going to feel dry. Your eyes, your mouth, your nose, all of that's going to feel very dry. Your joints aren't going to be as lubricated. You're not going to be able to move as well. And then your organs are going to have less of that cushion and be less protected as well. Okay, so we know water is important. Now let's talk about how much is enough, because there's all kinds of schools of thought out there. So on average, we lose water through those functions that I mentioned, plus a whole bunch more that I haven't mentioned. So we're using water, or basically we're losing it, about 2.5 quarts of fluid per day. This is about 10 or more cups. So we want to replace that. We want to replace that water. Rule of thumb is about half of your body weight in water. And so to get a little bit more specific, without, I'm not able to calculate everyone's needs individually, because it also does vary depending on your activity level, how much you're sweating, the heat outside, and so many different things, your age, lots of stuff. So in general, about 3.7 liters of total fluid per day for males age 19 and over, and 2.7 liters of total fluid for females age 19 and over. So let me give you a little bit of a disclaimer here. So this seems like a lot of water. I know you're all looking at this going, holy cow, that's a ton of water. I will tell you that this is your total fluid needs in general for the general population here. That's your total fluid needs. What I always tell my clients is you're getting fluid from places other than water. So some, fruits and vegetables, really high water content. That makes up part of your total needs for fluid. If you're drinking coffee or tea, those will count towards your daily fluid needs as well. So what I say is take 80% of what these numbers are. So if you're, male 19 or over, and it says 125 ounces of water, of fluid a day. And we need to change this slide because it does say water, but this is more accurate to say fluid. 80% of this number would be what I would recommend for you to drink in actual water, because we want most of the fluid that we need to be coming from water, not from sodas, juices, coffee, things like that. We want the bulk of it to be water. So just take 80% of your number, and that's your needs for water for the day. So let's talk about some ways creatively here that we can kind of bump up our water intake. So it is easy to think, as it says here, that you only need extra water when you're physically sweating and losing that. But you may also need additional fluids if, like I said, you're being exposed to extreme hot or cold temperatures. You may be losing extra water, so you need to replace that water. Of course, during doing strenuous work, physical exercise and activity may increase your need for fluids. If you're exposed to heat or recirculated air for a long time, maybe you're like, now the weather is getting much nicer, but indoors during the winter, the heat is on. Maybe you're in a building or an office where the heat's on, pretty high, maybe doesn't have to be that high, but maybe that's not great circulation. And then maybe you also have a space heater sitting next to you, and it's just a lot of recirculated air and heat that can actually cause your body to lose fluid as well. So you may want to increase the water at that point as well. If you're pregnant or breastfeeding, all of our needs go up if we're pregnant or breastfeeding. And so water especially is going to be really important there. And when we're sick, especially if we're running a fever, we've all, heard the doctor tell us, or we tell our kids, push fluids, make sure you're staying really well hydrated when you're sick. Your body is using more fluid than usual. So very important there as well. So I mentioned that there are also fruits and vegetables that contribute to the total fluid in our diet. And there are a bunch of them that are higher in water content than others and can really, truly help with our hydration. So for example, one of the probably more obvious ones is watermelon. It's actually made up of 92% of watermelon is water. It's just plain old water. Your cantaloupe, super high in water content, 90% water. Tomatoes, even higher than watermelon, they're 94% water. Pineapple is about 87% water. Pears, 84% water. Berries, somewhere between 85 and 92% water, and then spinach, 92%. So again, most fruits and vegetables are going to give you a really good amount of fluids, but those are some of the higher ones: watermelon, cantaloupe, tomato, pineapple, pear, berries, and spinach. By the way, this is being recorded, and I will send these slides out to everyone as well, so that you will have them to go back and reference later along with the recording. So as far as staying hydrated, some tips, and it says here, what kind of drinker are you? A subconscious sipper or an uninterested sipper? I think really, what they're trying to say here is just being mindful of, are you someone that's carrying around a water bottle with you all day? I think I saw a post on social media recently that talked about how, like, if you don't leave the house, if you leave the house without your water bottle, you're like physically and mentally not okay. You like go into full panic mode because you don't have your water bottle with you. We've kind of gotten to that space. I feel like you always see people carrying around a water bottle. Rewind back like 20, 25 years ago, you never saw anyone carrying water with them. It was like, oh my gosh, how did we stay hydrated? Nobody had a water bottle with them, during the day. It's kind of funny. And then there's, the person who's just kind of, sipping throughout the day. Some people that are jugging water, just chugging water throughout the day. But what you want to do is do what works for you. Do whatever is going to kind of trigger that reminder of, oh, am I drinking water today? Maybe set reminders on your phone or your computer. Have something go off to alert you, hey, have a glass of water. Maybe every time you get up to use the bathroom, have a glass of water. You're about to go dehydrate and get rid of some water from your body. And so think to in your mind, okay, let me replenish the water that I'm about to get rid of, or that I just got rid of. And so kind of replace that with a cup of water. First thing in the morning, you can just make it a routine to have a glass of water before you even start on coffee or tea or whatever your, caffeine source is. Or a cup, if it's an herbal tea that's not caffeinated, that's a great way to start your day as well, to get some good nutrients, antioxidants, some good benefits from the tea, plus get in some hydration before you start your day. And then drinking alcohol is very dehydrating. We not only lose a lot of water when we're drinking alcohol, but also a lot of other important minerals and nutrients. And so if you try to make it a habit to drink, consume water and alcohol in a 1-to-1 ratio. So for like every like glass of beer or glass of wine or whatever you might have, make sure that right afterwards you take in a glass of water as well. And that can definitely help with those headaches and fun symptoms the next day as well. Stay hydrated. I promise it makes all the difference in the world. I've also seen in the stores, and I've seen people carrying them around. They have those water bottles with the lines, the mark lines on them that will say, you know, by 9 a.m. you should have drank this much water, by noon this much water, and it kind of helps to guide you along the day to your ultimate target of water intake by the end of the day. So that can be helpful as well. Keeping water with you at your desk, if you're sitting at a desk all day, can be helpful. Using a specific bottle that is like your, water bottle, that's all you drink out of it is water. And it just kind of reminds you when you see it, okay, yeah, I need to be drinking water. Try using a straw, just, variety, make it a little different, change things up a little bit, sipping out of a straw that feels just better to you, then that's a tip. Keeping a case of water in your car or at your desk, that could be an idea. I don't know if it gets really hot, I wouldn't advise like keeping hot plastic water bottles in the car like that. Keeping water by your bed. Listen, whatever it takes, what yourself, what's going to work for you. So even just being mindful of that and thinking of ways that you think, okay, if this were to happen, then I would definitely be drinking water throughout the day. And so that is something that you need to kind of think about for yourself. Other creative ways to kind of make it a little bit more palatable, a little bit more exciting to drink water. You can do the carbonated flavored waters like, LaCroix and the bubbly water and Deer Park sparkling. There's all the brands. They're so common now. You see them everywhere. And they're flavored with like just essential oil, like natural flavors from the fruit. But there's no artificial sweeteners because we don't recommend that. And then there's no sugars. There's no added sugars. You're just getting that flavored carbonated water. By now, I'm sure everybody has tried these waters before. You probably drink them. Other types of water. Okay, I'm not going to lie. I did this presentation one time before. I know coconut water very well. It is very hydrating. It's an excellent choice to get some electrolytes in. I've not heard of maple water or almond water. Aloe water, I'm not so familiar with either. I know like aloe juice and things like that, but I honestly cannot speak to the other ones. And I meant to look that up after I did this presentation earlier in the month and I forgot. So I apologize. I have to look into that. Flavor your own water. Obviously, if you just squeeze some fresh squeezed lemon juice or some lime, other fun things I think that really liven up water, fresh mint leaves, crush up some fresh mint and put that into your water. And cucumber slices really make your water taste nice and fancy and refreshing. And that's a fun thing to do as well. If you've got cucumbers in the house, you can flavor ice cubes. So make, the flavored water, like, let's say you've had the cucumbers or the mint just kind of sitting in a jug of water. By the time it's gotten up all the nice flavors from it, make ice cubes out of that and then use that in your water if you like to have ice in your water. And then so that can add some good flavor as well. Diluting anything that does have sugar in it. So maybe you really, really love iced tea or like sweet tea or even like lemonade. So maybe have a big glass of water and just do like a couple ounces of the sweet tea or the lemonade or the juice. That way you're not getting too much sugar, it livens up the water, but you're not, overloading on calories. And then some physical reminders. You want to pay attention to your thirst sensations. They say that once you feel thirsty, it's too late. Not that it's too late, but you don't want to wait to the point that you feel thirsty. You want to stay hydrated throughout the day, so that your body can actually absorb that water properly. Trying to take water breaks. So, getting up and, taking a couple minutes of a break to take a little walk and get a drink of water. And so actually terming them as water breaks, just to bring more attention and awareness to that. Have a glass of water before you eat a meal. That will make sure that you are still getting hydration, and then maybe can help you to keep within the portion sizes that you want to be staying within at your meal. Because if it makes you feel a little fuller, that could work. Slow yourself down at meals by taking a sip of water in between each bite. And then there's that label a water bottle with the times of the day to help you drink a certain amount each hour, which takes us back to those water bottles. Apparently that works so well that somebody decided to profit from that idea and make their own water bottles and sell them. So yeah, we have seen those all over at this point. So here's how we can check. So you have your numbers in terms of here's my goal. And also I should say this. Let's say your goal is about 64 ounces of water. We took the 80% of whatever your number was from a few slides ago, and you come up with your number and you say, okay, I should be drinking 64 ounces of water every day. That's my goal. Let's say you're currently only drinking about 16 ounces of water a day, and you know that your ultimate goal is the 64. I don't want you to, and this may be very obvious to some of you, but I like to say it just to bring attention to the fact that you're not going to absorb that extra water. If you go from 16 ounces of water today in the last, however long you've been, drinking water as a habit, to 64 ounces tomorrow. Think of it the same as if it rains in a desert and it just floods. That water is not going to be taken up by the soil. That soil is too dehydrated. You need to water consistently, throughout the day. So same thing with your body, your tissues, your organs, all of that is that everything requiring water is not going to absorb it very efficiently. You're basically going to pee it right out, and you're going to be in the bathroom every 10 minutes and you're going to be angry, and you don't have time for that. Nobody does. And then you're going to back off the water and you're going to be like, okay, I just can't, my body can't handle it. I can't drink that much water. Yes, it can. You just need to increase it incrementally until your body has a chance to get used to it and absorbing it properly. And then your body gets used to it and you don't have to be in the bathroom every 10 minutes. And so that I wanted to just make that important point is to allow yourself, an increase of like just 4 ounces every day extra for the next few days, and then increase it another 4 ounces. Stay there for a few days until finally you get to that ultimate goal, whatever it might be. So other than knowing kind of what your target is, we also recommend that you monitor the volume and the color of your urine to gauge if that number makes sense for you. Is that number too high, what your goal is, or is it too low? And so we ultimately gauge it by the color of your urine. And so the large amount of lightly colored urine means that you are pretty much perfectly hydrated. And then obviously the darker it is, that means the more concentrated it is, and you're probably in need of a little bit more water. Now, I have some people that tell me with pride, oh, their pee is always clear. And I say, no, that's not the goal. We want it to not be clear, because that means you're overhydrating. Your body's not absorbing that fluid. You've either increased your water too much too quickly, or you're just full on drinking way too much water than what your body requires. If you're consistently having clear urine, it means you need to back off of the water a little bit. And so another thing we always compare it to is you want it to look like lemonade, not apple juice. So somewhere, closer to that lighter color with a good amount of volume, it tells us that the kidneys are working really well. You're absorbing the right amount of nutrients and fluid. That's what we're looking for. So what about when you do need more water? You are physically active, you're sweating, it's hot outside, you're going to go outside for a run or bicycle or whatever. So one of the most accurate ways that we can know how much fluid we need to replenish for ourselves is you can check your weight right before your physical activity and then check it again right afterwards. And so for every pound that you went down during that physical activity, it doesn't mean, oh, look, I burned all these calories and I've lost weight. You're losing water. That's the first thing that you're going to lose. So especially if you're sweating, every pound that you lost during that physical activity, you want to consume 2 cups of water per pound of weight loss. And so you're going to use that to kind of gauge how well you need to hydrate during a similar activity or during that same activity again. So before the physical activity, you want to usually drink about a half a cup to 2 cups of water and then kind of just sip it throughout in order to help maintain that hydration so that afterwards your weight should pretty much stay the same. And that can kind of show you if you're losing too much water or not during that activity. Obviously, the more you're sweating, the more you're going to lose, the more water you're going to lose. And with intense activity, try to stay ahead of your thirst sensations. Yeah, so we mentioned before, you don't want to wait to the point that you are actually feeling thirsty. So, all right, in summary, we talked about how our body is primarily made up of water. And because almost every single biochemical reaction, every function in our body requires water molecules, it is imperative that we stay hydrated. Remember, especially if you're on a weight loss journey, the more you're hydrated, the easier, the more it's going to support that weight loss. Dehydration can have a very significant impact on your body, including headaches, sluggishness, fatigue, all that stuff that we had discussed that comes along with dehydration. You want to drink about 1/4 to half your body weight in pounds for optimal hydration. But again, everyone's going to be a little bit different. That's just a starting point. There's a little bit more specifics on one of those previous slides, and then gauging the color and output of your urine to really kind of make sure that you're at the place that you should be. And then you can go up or down. Drink more water in extreme hot or cold temperatures, when you're traveling, when you're exercising. Also, like it said in the one slide, if you're exposed to recirculated air and heat exposure. And then we went over some different techniques to help to bump up your water intake as well, and trying getting a little bit more creative and more palatable with your fluids and helping you to stay hydrated. So that is everything. I hope you guys enjoyed this topic, that you learned something that you can put into practice going forward. Those of you that are doing the hydration challenge right now or upcoming shortly, I hope this kind of nudges you, gives you a little bit of motivation. And also, I think it's important to know the reason why behind why we're doing things, no matter what it is, making certain nutrition and health choices, drinking enough water. The more we have an understanding of what's going on in the body, I think it's a little bit more motivating in allowing us to make those good decisions because we know why we're choosing it. And so we are all about education at Kelly's Choice, education-driven programs. Everything we do, we want to make sure, like it said in that first slide, that you are feeling empowered to make the best choices for your health, wellness, longevity. So everybody have a wonderful weekend. We have our Instagram handle that I always like to include on the last slide here in case you're not already following us on Instagram. We always do a lot of fun giveaways and more education, fun stuff on our Instagram social media. So make sure you're following us there if you're not already. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll get these slides out and the playback for you as well. In just a little bit. And I hope you all have a wonderful weekend.